everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tracy Takes On, the show that talks about all things political. Normally, I would be joined by a group of panelists, but tonight I decided to do something just a little bit different. So I'm going to go solo on this. So you're going to hear a lot of me. So just be prepared. There's a lot to talk about today. There's the stimulus passing, if that's what you want to call it. There's the whole New York governor situation, the fallout from that. Of course, there's still news on the COVID-19 front that's going on today. So I just want to jump right into it. And like I said, this is probably going to be one of my shorter videos because I'm not joined by a group of panelists. Um, so if you all don't know, this show tapes on Mondays, it airs on Friday. So today, which is Monday, but you'll see this Friday, the Senate passed um, the stimulus or the COVID-19 relief bill. Now, I don't really want to call it relief because I think that if you promise $2,000 checks, that's what you should deliver. But the checks will be $1,400 and they're expecting them to go out by the end of March. Now, for you all that haven't been paying attention, that bill originally included a $15 minimum wage um, per hour increase. And that was being worked on. But all the Republicans voted for it, which I suspected. But then 8 Democrats, and I'm getting this up here so I can tell you which 8 Democrats voted against this because some of these, like 2 of them, I knew they were going to vote against it. Um, but the other ones, I'm like, wait a minute, you did what? And you're telling your people you're going to campaign for them? Um, let's see. And I'm trying to use my phone to do this, so against $15. And I cannot spell against. AGAINIST, $15 minimum wage. Okay, so the 8 Democrats that really have no spine um, and really deserve to be called out on their no vote. I'm going to name them because they deserve to be called out. So there was, of course, no surprise, Joe Manchin of West Virginia. There was Christine Sinema, and I'll talk about her little stunt here in just a moment. There was Senator Jeanine Shaheen from New Hampshire. Um, then there was Senator Maggie Hassan, also from New Hampshire. Then um, John Tester, I thought he had sense, but apparently he doesn't. He's in Montana. Tom Carpenter of Delaware, Chris Coons of Delaware, Senator Agnes King, and he's an independent, so he's not neither Democrat nor Republican. He's from Maine. And that's it. So you figure, like I said, you knew that the Republicans were going to vote against this. All of them, they all kept the faith. But these people really, I would like to know because they haven't really talked about it publicly. They've been kind of hiding from the public since their vote. What's their rationale? What is it that they're saying that they think that Americans can live off of 7.25 or whatever the minimum wage is? That's I mean, $15 is not enough to live off of. It's not. But at least it's way better than 7.25. This is just embarrassing. And some of the reasons that I'm reading this article that I'm referring to, is saying, they were giving their reasons, um, and they literally make no sense. I'm gonna read one of these, and I'm just like, really? Um, so I'm gonna read you what Senator Janine Shanine said. She said, I support the minimum wage increase, but I'm concerned about including the tip wage provision because the current status of the restaurant industry. We had so many closings, she said, and the industry is in difficult straits. Janine easily won re-election with 57%, but New Hampshire has traditionally been a battleground state. So she's for the minimum wage being increased, but she turns around and votes against it. That um, I'm just that literally makes no sense. Um, let's see. And then there was cinema. Oh, I got to let's see. Okay. She was just um she if you didn't see her little I don't know, it wasn't attributed to John McCain. He had famously given a thumbs down when he voted against getting rid of the Affordable Care Act. And I guess she decided, you know what, I'm going to do the same thing and it's going to be funny. And it just made her look really silly. I don't know what she thought she was going to get out of that, but you have to see it. And I probably am gonna, yeah, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try to share my screen so that you all can see it. So hold on a second here. I'm gonna share my screen because um she was just like really, really trying it. I'm like, really? You gonna really do this? I should have probably had this, but I didn't think I was gonna show you all today. Oh, here it is. So I don't want to use, I'll just use this really, really quick clip because I was like, girl, sit down somewhere. Okay, so we're going to just watch this. Just skip this video. There she is in whatever that little get up is. It was like, what did you do? What did that accomplish? I just want to know from her, what did that actually accomplish? Because, oh, you got an apartment. Somehow the fire truck decided to go by today. What was she accomplishing by doing that? I don't like to tell people how to vote, um, but people in Arizona, oh, y'all need to vote this lady out. The next time she's up for reelection, just get her out because that's just totally disrespectful that she thinks it's okay that you can live off of 7.25 an hour. And I know the senators in my state, they're Republicans, so they were going to vote against it irregardless. But her, oh my goodness, that was just so, no interviews about why she voted against it. No, for the working people, just vote against it. Um, I don't know who her corporate donors are. I'd be really, or any of their corporate donors, I would be very, very interested in seeing who it is that's donating money to them, that's making them vote in ways that literally don't make sense. This is a pandemic. These are unusual times, and you have people who are getting more than 725, and they're saying, you don't deserve it, but I do. Who are these people, and how do they get in office? And my question is, what can we do to get them out of office? This is just, I'm so frustrated at it because it's so unnecessary for them to vote in this manner. But yet I'm pretty sure when a budget comes up that increases military spending, I'm pretty sure all of these people will vote for it, because that's what senators seem to do. Sure, we have, our heroes, our Bernie Sanders, but that's it in terms of the Senate. I I'm pretty sure there's some more progressive senators, and I just can't think of their names right now. But I like I said, I don't know what her little thumbs down little thing um really accomplished. And it was just totally, totally unnecessary. And I don't know if they realize that by not signing this, you're going to have more people going on public assistance, more people straining the system. And if you're saying the system is strained, either you're going to be for cutting public assistance in the middle of a pandemic, or you're going to have to accept that people are going to be on public assistance because you haven't raised the wage. If you raise the wage, that's going to mean less people on public assistance, and that's what you ultimately want. Then raising the $15 wage seems to be a good move to me. There was some controversy though in the $15 minimum wage increase that had happened a couple weeks ago, where it wasn't passed, and I forget her name, and so I'm gonna look on my phone again. So sorry guys, I'm using my phone a whole lot today. But there was the parliamentarian who who had heard of the parliamentarian? I mean parliamentarian. The parliamentarian is a person that gives opinions about Senate bills. And apparently, this parliamentarian, and I'm going to get her name up here in a second, she said that the $15 minimum wage increase could not be approved in the filibuster. And so the filibuster, I mean, it didn't have to go through filibuster. That's what the Democrats want. Because if it hadn't gone, if it has to go through the normal path, you would need 60 senators to pass. That's a filibuster. You need 60 to pass. By going around that or subverting it, you only need a majority. Now, the Democrats still wouldn't have won because you have Manchin who would have voted against it, and Sinema still would have voted against it. But this parliamentarian, it says here that the parliamentarian is the Senate advisor on the interpretations of rules and precedents. For many years, the Senate relied on the expertise of this group. So I want to find out, I just want to give you all a definition. Um, and I want to give this person's name because the Senate Majority Leader, which I thought was Chuck Schumer, is the one that appoints this person. But apparently, she was a leftover from the last administration, and they didn't just get rid of her. So, one of the things they could have just done was just fire the parliamentarian. And her name is Elizabeth McDonough. They could have just fired her. That could have been one way. And then they could have got someone in there to say, okay, you can put this under the budget reconciliation. And then it may have passed. That would have been one way. They could have ignored what the parliamentarian said, but, and I keep calling her Senator Harris, but she's Vice President Harris said that she would have to be the one to vote on it, or she would have to be the one that would raise the objection to what the parliamentarian was saying. And since she is the leader of the Senate or president of the Senate, I forget what that title is, but since she's the president of the Senate, she could just say, no, we're not paying attention. But the vice president had indicated that she wasn't doing that. Progressives were not having it. They were emailing, texting, getting hashtags, going on social media, and basically telling her, you know, just ignore the parliamentarian, just ignore it. And one of the things I didn't realize is even if Harris had overturned it, it still would have had to been voted on by the Senate. Again, I don't know why they don't use the bully pulpit to kind of get these things through, but they didn't. So Bernie Sanders still put it in there. Um, and apparently it got dropped, and I'm not sure. I know it's not in the current stimulus bill. Um, and I don't know if it's going to come up in its own separate bill. Um, it doesn't appear to me that these 8 people are going to change their minds unless the residents of those states pick up the phone, contact their senators. And I'm going to backtrack that. Everyone should pick up their phones and contact their senators, um, to find, call them and say, we deserve more than a $7.25 wage. No one can live off of it. It's impossible to buy food, housing, if you had to pay utilities, those type of things. You should not be working and still be poor. That it's inexcusable that we live in a country that's supposedly the greatest country of all time, and we can't get things like this. So what I will do is I will put in the link a way that you can contact all of your senators and get on the phone, even if you live in a red state like I do. Still call and say we need 15. True enough, we need actually 35, but again, that's my opinion, and that will probably never get heard. But we at least need 15. So I wanted to talk about that. Another thing I wanted to talk about was the whole situation with Governor Cuomo, because I mispronounced his last name last week. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get it right this week. He's got 2 problems. One is that he hid the actual numbers of COVID deaths in nursing homes. That's his big problem. And another problem he's having is the sexual, um, not a, well, some of them are so, um, these allegations that are coming up against him by women who have worked against him. So I'm using my phone again to tell you how many um, that he has now, because the number, it just keeps going up and up and up. I'm like, okay, stop. And how many accusers does he have? Okay, okay, we know who he is. I believe it's 5. I want to say it's 5. But even his own party is calling for him to resign, and he's not going to. He's already said he's not going to resign. The attorney general of the state has already said that this will be investigated by an independent counsel. At first, he tried to appoint someone. Like, who does that? I mean, only a guilty person does that. You can't just, I'm going to apply, we're going to investigate ourselves. And then wink, wink, you're not going to find anything. Give me a break. You know, mm, you cannot do that. So luckily, the attorney general of the state of New York is going to step in, do the independent investigation that should take place, and get that all resolved. And hopefully those women, which again, I think it's up to 5. I might be wrong. I know it's at least 3. I do know it's at least 3 women that have accused him of doing something in terms of he made unwanted comments. He's been accused of touching women unwantedly. And in this whole Me Too movement, what I believe is just um, bothersome to me is Blue MAGA's reaction to this. I remember when the accusations came out against Trump, how everyone on the Democratic side was like, oh, he's guilty, he shouldn't be in office, this, that, or the other. And now I'm reading things on social media like, well, Trump did this, so really what Como is doing is not as bad. You can't be serious with that. You cannot really seriously think that. First of all, your standards in using Trump are already low. And to excuse what Cuomo did, even if you thought he was innocent, you should still, what happened to the believe all women line that you were using when the women against Trump came out? I could call celebrities names, I will not, who said, believe all women, the whole Me Too movement. And now that's died down because now it's Como's not Trump and anybody's not Trump, that's okay. No, it's not okay. So I'm hopeful that these women's stories will be heard and they'll be allowed to tell what they experience. Because if he's being considered for cabinet positions, we need to know this. I don't live in New York, but those people certainly have the right to know what their governor is up to. If he's sitting here, harassing women or touching women inappropriately, they have the right to know about that and to hear these women's stories. So just a general mess. The second problem that he has is that um, it's been found out that he underreported the deaths of seniors who died in the nursing homes. And this is what makes me mad. One is this story is not being talked about by the mainstream media. They just aren't talking about it. And so they're just ignoring it like, oh, it's going to go away and nothing's going to happen. And everything's just going to, do what it does. But there's just so many words I want to say. And they're all just kind of rushing out. But I'm going to try to take my time with this one because, again, I'm by myself, so I'm not used to it. He did a lot of things. He takes lots of money from the assisted living corporations. And so one of the things he did was make them immune to being sued. So in other words, if you live in New York and you have a loved one that passes due to COVID, you can't sue that nursing home because he's made them immune to getting sued. That right there should disqualify him from office. It should disqualify him from office because he purposely hid those numbers. And his reasoning for hiding those numbers was because he didn't want it to be used for political purposes. Are you serious with that? You cannot be. That is a very poor answer. You have hundreds, maybe thousands of families who have lost loved ones, and you're hiding numbers because you don't want it to be used for political reasons. You're a servant of the people. Sometimes you have to put politics aside. And I know this podcast is about politics, so don't get it twisted. Sometimes you have to put politics aside and say, you know what, let me do the right thing. And the right thing would have been to report those numbers in the proper fashion. But it's just amazing that, like I said, the media has completely ignored this whole story. It's just, you don't hear about it. You hear about the women, and you should. I'm not saying that the women should not tell their story. They absolutely positively should be. They need to tell their story. They need to be heard. But we need to know when you're falsifying numbers. And then when he puts out the real numbers, which will come out, are we to trust that those are the real numbers? So now you have this whole kind of cycle of deceit going, and we don't know whether what you're telling us is real. It amazes me that people actually consider this person a candidate for president. I cannot believe that that even happened, but of course it did. Um, it is just I don't get it. I don't. He won an Emmy for, I literally don't know. I literally don't know the reason that he won an Emmy. Um, and he wrote a book. I don't know. I don't know if the book is a bestseller or what have you. Um, I'm just gonna move on to the next subject because I can't with ridiculousness. It's just totally ridiculous. I also wanted to talk about the COVID well, they're calling it the American Rescue Act. So I'll call it by its proper name. It doesn't rescue anybody except for who it shouldn't, but I'll get to that in a bit. So the American Rescue Act finally passed the Senate. I believe it goes back to the House. And if the House doesn't add anything, then the president will sign it. And they're believing, or they said that they're hoping that checks will be out by the end of March. I'm not sure what their definition of immediate is because these checks were promised on an immediate status. And it took, let's see, Biden got elected Biden was inaugurated on the 20th. So January 20th, February 20th, that's a month. It's not March 20th. So it took basically a month and a couple of days for this to get happen. So I'll tell you, and I'm going to use my phone again. I told you guys I'm using my phone tonight. I'm going to read some of what's in here and some of the problems that I have in it. And you'll know just what I'm talking about here in just a moment. So the American Rescue Act was, again, just passed today. And let's see. I'll give you all a summary of what had happened. So, then we're gonna just keep waiting, and I'm going to their direct page. So I'm getting this from Congress.gov. So, okay, so it says here the bill provides additional relief to address the continued impact of COVID-19, i.e., COVID disease 2019, on the economic, public health, state and local governments, individuals, and businesses. Specifically, the bill provides funding for agricultural and nutritional programs, including the Supplemental Nutritional Program, which is SNAP. Some people know it says food stamps. Schools and institutions of higher education, child care programs for older Americans and families, COVID-19 vaccine testing and treatments and prevention, mental health and substance abuse services, emergency rental assistance, home owner assistance, and other housing programs, payments to state, local, tribal, and territorial governments for economic relief, multi-employer pension plans, small business assistance, including specific programs for restaurants and live venues, programs for healthcare workers, transportation workers, federal employees, veterans, and other targeted populations, international and humanitarian responses, tribal government, and scientific research and development. The bill also would have included to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2025, extend unemployment and related services. That's going to happen, but instead of 400, I believe it's 300. Provide a maximum recovery rebate of $1,400 per an eligible individual. Expand otherwise modify certain tax credits, including the child tax credit and earned income tax credit, which I actually think is a good idea, and provide premium assistance for certain health care coverage and require coverage without cost sharing of COVID-19 vaccines under the Medicaid and Children's Health Insurance Program, which we know is CHIP. So, two problems with that bill. Most of it sounds pretty good until you get down to the part where it says provide premium assistance for insurance. Why don't we have Medicare for all? If we had Medicare for all, we wouldn't have to provide premium assistance for anyone because we would all have exactly the same health care. This is just, it's utter ridiculousness. One, well, that. Second, $1,400 and 2,000 are not the same amounts. And second, third, when are these checks going to go out? Like I said, I think they're saying the end of March. And this is like what, the 8th? Or it says the 7th. No, it's the 8th. It's the 8th. And so you'll have families just waiting for a one-time payment of $1,400. Could you imagine if they were doing this every month? If they were doing $2,000 checks every month, put in the comments like, what could you do with $2,000 a month? Especially for families where their jobs are just gone because of COVID. You have people that haven't worked in almost a year and a half since this pandemic, and it's it's getting rough out here. It is getting rough out here, and this bill, it does something, but it's definitely not enough. We need relief on a monthly basis. Every American should get a debit card, and I mean every American over 18. Every American should get a debit card with $2,000 a month on it, and then they could spend in the economy because we know what we will do when we get those checks. We're going to spend them. For people like Joe Manchin to say, we need to put criteria on it, and he gets way more than 1,400. To me, that's very insulting because again, people are literally, and I'll say literally struggling to make ends meet. It's hard to do that. It's hard to get out here and work when there's no jobs to go to. And yes, we have healthcare workers who are stressed, and we have teachers who are going back to school, who have children that are going back to school. And part of me thinks it's a little bit too soon. I still think that children should be doing remote learning because this pandemic is not over. Yes, we have 3 or 4 vaccines. I think it's 3. I want to say 3. We have at least 3 vaccines going that people are getting. And so that's bringing down the numbers a little bit. But we still need, people still need work. People still need jobs. And the restaurant industry is going to change. I just can't see. I mean, there's already restaurants in my community that have closed down because of COVID, because they basically they can't seat people, nor should they. But instead of closing, they should have gotten checks and just closed down all the restaurants. We can all cook at home. I mean, I can't cook worth anything, but I can crank up YouTube and learn how to. We should have been paying those restaurant workers something every month not to go to work and just close down all the fast food restaurants, all the bars, all the sit down restaurants until this pandemic simmers. And of course, you have people openly defying COVID 19 regulations, such as some states brilliantly are deciding, oh, you know what, it's time for us to open again. What are you thinking? I don't know whether it's an affront to the new administration, but I do know that they're putting people's lives in danger. We cannot lift the mask mandates yet. We're nowhere near where we should be for that. We just now open the age minimum to 50 years old, and now all teachers, of course. But we're just at the crust of where we need to be to kind of turn the corner because we haven't turned it yet. If that makes sense. In other words, we're on the right road. We just have to travel down it. And until we're at a certain number, we need those mask mandates. I know one of the governors said, oh, well, the vaccine's coming, it's going to help, and hopefully it will. But you still have people getting this virus in their bodies because other people are not wearing masks. So I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you that you should what you should do, but definitely continue to wear a mask. Definitely continue to wash your hands. Stay 6 feet apart because it's just needed. We need those numbers to be lower before those states decide, okay, we're just gonna open up. No, and can those people they gotta travel to other states because they don't have a mandate, so now they're gonna travel. And if these variants, which I haven't even discussed, if these variants that we don't know how they respond to the vaccinations, we don't know how they respond. If someone gets a variant in their body and they're passing it on, and those variants are worse than the COVID, you could have those numbers spike all over again. So, yes, the numbers are coming down, which that's a good thing. That's a really good thing, but they're not coming down enough. And I would pledge to or ask people in those states. I know Texas is one, Mississippi is another one, Florida is another. It seems like it's all the southern states. It doesn't seem like I know I live in Indiana and we still have a mask mandate that we have to go by. Um, but I would just implore those people to wear a mask, not for just yourself, but to protect others. If you care about others the way you say you care about others, you will definitely wear a mask. And it's really needed. And like I said, in terms of this COVID relief bill or the American Rescue Act, it's a step, but it's not nearly big enough. It should have included the $15 minimum wage. And if you all remember about the $15 minimum wage, it was put in there because progressives had started to demand $2,000 a month checks. And so the administration came back and said, no, we really can't do that. But if we put $15 in there, that'll be the same thing. It's not. Trust me, it's not. Because that $2,000 would have been non taxable. The 15 is, but that's okay. So they agreed to it. I don't know why. And now it's again ignoring the progressives. Like they don't mean anything. They don't nothing. You're not gonna say anything to get them included. You're just doing all this lip service, saying you want a $15 minimum wage, and because you didn't want to give $2,000 checks, when technically speaking, America has the money to do both. We could have a guaranteed $15 minimum wage, and we could have $15 a month, and we could have $2,000 a month in checks. We could do both at the same time, absolutely positively. Um, we have, you know, we have the top 1% that's never ever taxed, that needs to start being taxed. We have corporations that aren't even paying taxes. I know I pay them, but some corporations don't even pay taxes. So we have the resources and the money to do both. It's just we have to start electing people that are willing to do both. Um, so that was my thoughts on that. And I wanted to talk about something I didn't talk about at the top of the show, and that was this whole media frenzy about the cancel culture. And I wasn't going to address this because I thought this is so stupid. I cannot with this type of discussion. And it's just dominating the news. It all started, I believe, with the Dr. Seuss books. And there were a couple of Dr. Seuss books, and I'm getting out my phone again, that the company that publishes them said, we're not going to publish these books. And conservatives went all crazy, like, oh, this is what the liberals do. They get books canceled and they take away things that we really value. Um, and this is what they do. So I'm gonna get these Dr. Seuss books back because these books really, if they were selling, trust me, um, they would be still in publication. So let's see, not books not published. Okay, so we're gonna do this. Okay, Okay. Yeah. So they're like, so the book stopped being published because of offensive imagery. And so I'll go through these books. Um, they are called And I Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street and If I Ran the Zoo. So I thought it was six books, but apparently these are little books and a big book, but there's two of them that are named. Again, these books are called And I Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street, that was written in 1937, and If I Ran the Zoo, which was in 1950. And Dr. Seuss Enterprises said that they were stopping the books because they thought that the books portrayed people in a hurtful and wrong manner. And the other books, I'm sorry, McElligot's Pool, On Beyond Zebra, Scrambled Egg Super, and The Cat's Quizzer. But you know, this is a private company, so if they don't want to publish books, what does that have to do with you? You weren't buying these books when they were out there in circulation. I mean, there are just some things that do need to be canceled. We can look at them, not canceled in the sense that they're never published, because again, I think we should always look at them in a historical context. And so I'll give you an example. So when I was a child, I would watch the Tom and Jerry cartoons. Loved them, thought they were funny, but it wasn't until I got older, maybe in my teens, early teens, no, late teens, early 20s, that I realized, oh, gee, this is racist. Well, this isn't funny. This is stereotypical. And I didn't realize that until, of course, I became an adult. But I don't think, just get rid of the whole series, because you have to look at the historical content of why those were made. And the same with these six books is you have to look at the historical context. So while I'm all for keeping it, in circulation for that reason, I don't own these books. Dr. Seuss Enterprises owns these books, and so they have decided not to publish them. And that's just the way it's going to be. But of course, our grand old party decided, you know what? We can't have this. We can't have people taking away our values and taking away what we believe. And to top it off, they were also upset because Mr. Potato Head will no longer be known as Mr. Potato Head. The name will be Potato Head. Potato Head will not have a gender, will not be identified as he, she, or child. Um, it was just this fake outrage that some of these Republicans were just exhibiting, and I'm like, I don't get it. Again, these are private companies deciding to rename their products because they feel or they realize that these images are offensive to some people. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I mean, if they had left the name Mr. Potato Head, that would have been fine with me. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not a child. I don't play with Potato Head anymore. But this whole, oh, I'm outraged and it's against our values, it's to distract. And that's what I don't like about the media's coverage. We're distracting from serious issues, such as what I'll talk about here in a bit, is why are children still being held in, I'm going to call them concentration camps. We're totally ignoring that issue. We're totally ignoring that Syria was bombed again for retaliation. We're not talking about those things. We're talking about people mad because something's not called Mr. Potato Head, and six books which they never read are not going to be published anymore. Stop it. It's they're using it as a distraction, and they're distracting from their own bigoted, misogynistic opinions. In my opinion, they're um letting their former president get away with inciting riots, and they want to lecture me on values and morals. No, it does not work. It does not work. It needs to stop. The media needs to stop covering these people. Just stop it. I had to talk about it because it enraged me. But if you're going to cover it, at least reasonably say, hey, look, you're not even talking about this issue. But this is just utter ridiculousness. I don't understand, again, how you expect us not to know what you're trying to do. Um, and for the media to just leech onto this and not cover the things that actually matter, shame on you, because you're giving these idiots um, a pass in terms of what you think that they should be doing, and it just should not be. Um, and again, it's just no, just no. Um, so the next thing I wanted to talk about was combination of things. I wanted to talk about the camps. I'm calling them concentration camps because that's what they are, in my opinion. And I wanted to talk about the bombing in Syria and how I think those two things played off. So I remember when Trump had the title of president, and when there was a bombing, people were outraged. The media was outraged. Everyone was questioning whether he, as a president, could do that. Should he go through Congress? Um, why didn't he go through Congress? Was this a necessary bombing? Well, gee, guess what happened? Biden decides to bomb Syria. Didn't go through Congress. Didn't get this approved the way it should be. Didn't go through the UN. Didn't go through NATO. Didn't do any of those things. Just bombed them out of retaliation because they may or may not have did something. I don't even know what the reason was, but it was a dumb reason. Did anybody, except for a few progressives, question that? No. The media went right along with it, didn't question why it wasn't going through Congress. Congress isn't even taken up. It's like, why didn't he bring this through Congress? Because that's where it should go. So it seems to me that these so-called Democrats are letting Biden get away with things just like the Republicans let Trump get away with things. And it's hard for me to note the difference between the two when they're doing exactly the same thing. And if you lay it out, you would know that. If you just sat down and listed the similarities, there's a lot of similarities. Um, I'm not going to go over the fact of the sexual comments that both of them have made. I'll just skip that. Um, you have the concentration camps. Trump had children in there taking children away from their parents. Now the Biden administration has whole families to some point in those same cages, but now it's being framed as oh, it's because of COVID. No, you can do a COVID test and let those children back with their parents. You don't have to keep them in those camps. You could do a COVID test, a rapid COVID test, and if they have it, then they should be quarantined in a place called, I don't know, a hospital. That would be a good place for them to be, and not forced to live in some place that's no bigger than my apartment, 3 and 4 and 5 people. They both do that. They both want huge tax cuts for the rich. Both are against Medicare for all. Um, both are against Social Security. Now, here's where it gets interesting for all you people who are saying, oh, nobody, no. Go back and watch it. And I think what I'll do is include a clip of Biden saying he wanted to cut Social Security. And there were many articles that said that Trump wanted to do the same thing. So the only difference is one is named Joe and the other one is named Donald. That's pretty much the difference. They have the same policies. They have the same acumens. They have the same um, attitudes. If you watch some of the press conferences that his press secretary has had, she's no different than the Republicans. Like there's no concrete difference. If you can think of one, put it in the comments because I'm really interested in people telling me what I may not know because everything that I see says there's no difference between the two. And they're really not that I like I said, only difference I can think of is one is named Joe and one is named Donald. Pretty much that's it. Um, but I wanted to touch on the concentration camps because again, that's another story that the media is ignoring. They're just letting it just skedaddle by. It's like, okay, are you not going to tell the American people that there are camps with children in them and that you're allegedly keeping them because of COVID when you could just do a rapid COVID test to see if they have it? Um, I understand it because they're owned by corporations and corporations donate to campaigns and the politicians need it. And to be honest, the corporations are getting a good return on their investment. I mean, they're giving hundreds of thousands of dollars to campaigns and they're getting billions and billions back. So why stop? Why stop? Why not keep it going? So it just infuriates me that the public doesn't get to hear about these things, or when they hear about these things, it's framed in this whole blue MAGA. Well, he's not Trump, but he's doing the same thing as Trump. And that's what we have to get to. We have to recognize the actions that presidents and vice presidents and Congress and senators take. And we have to hold them accountable because until we do, things are going to get worse. This COVID, yes, we are going to get past this, absolutely positively. But will the economy recover in the manner that we think it should? Probably not, unless we do something about it. And that's to get people in that have our best interest at heart. And like I said, I will be including a link in the description of how you can contact your senators and tell them, look, we know you're not going to pass a $2,000 check in this bill, but pass this one and then get ready to pass another one. Because this one-time payment thing, it's not enough. It's really not enough. It's not enough. We need more relief. We need Medicare for all in the midst of pandemic. We need housing assistance, rental assistance. We need all of that for us. Not because we're just begging and we're lazy, but because that's our tax money. That's our tax money that we pay that for some reason we're letting a bunch of people that make $1,000 an hour tell us that we can't have our own money. That tax money is yours and it's mine. It's not theirs. We make them the stewards of it, but it needs to be spent to benefit us and not to disbenefit us. And cut some of these taxes, or not cut some of these taxes, increase some of these taxes on these super large corporations that don't pay any. I mean, I pay more taxes than Amazon. I pay more taxes than Walmart. I pay more taxes than probably a whole lot more larger corporations. So we have to demand more because we deserve more. It's our right. We're entitled to these things. We're not lazy. We want to work, but we want to make sure work works for us. So, like I said, I'll put that into the description section on um, how you can contact your senator. And so now, here's the best part of the show: Idiot of the Week. It's my favorite segment of the show, and it's where I get to talk about. And like I said, this is going to be a short show because I don't even think we're at 45 minutes yet. But Idiot of the Week. There were a lot of nominees. To be honest, this was one I was like, okay, who is gonna get it? At first I was gonna go Manchin, but then I'm like, well, no, that's Manchin being Manchin. Then I was gonna go Sinema, being her whole thumbs down speech or action. But I have to go with um I have to go with again the Democratic Party. And that's a group of people, and I know it's not just one idiot. It's as though this party, they had two jobs. One was to pass a $15 minimum wage, and the second was to pass a 2,000, not 1,400, a 2,000 rescue bill. And they did neither. And I think that they're going to pay for it in 2022 and 2024. That's what I think. Um, so that's my idiot of the week is the entire Democratic Party. Thank you all for joining me. This was really a change of pace to do this by myself, but I will have the panel back next week. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and please support me on Patreon because Patreon is how I'm going to be using to fund more videos like this. I thank you so much and tune in for Tracy Takes On Friday.